Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And this is about the 9th day in the 3rd week in Lenten period. Lent is a big issue for some Christians, particularly the Catholics. Yesterday, I believe, was Women's Day celebration. And the theme for Women's Day, I believe, was Give to Gain. I have a problem with this theme. Give to gain. As far as they're concerned, the theme conveys a powerful message. When society gives women equal opportunities, respect, education, and support, the entire world gains from the progress and leadership. Nothing is wrong with that. But when you see a theme give to gain, it could be very selfish and self-centered. And you're not speaking about Grenada women. Maybe you're speaking about women in Muslim countries, in Afghanistan, in some communist countries, women in Cuba that is in jail. And I have not heard of women in Grenada or in the Caribbean express solidarity with the women of Cuba in jail, and the women in Russia in jail, and in China, and the women that have to tie up their head, not by choice, because of Islam extremists. Not Grenada women. The men have given you support. Grenada was one of the first countries in the Caribbean where women had more right than anybody else. Today in our country, almost half of the women in NNP, or half of the politicians in NNP are women. 60% of our homes are led by men. The children and men outside are led by women. The entire teaching staff is dominated by women. Sometimes 1 or 2 domesticated men you see around them. Most of the permanent secretaries, Grenada have had the first governor and 3 women in parliament since in the 70s. So that team does not reflect the Grenada situation. But it could be a very selfish team if we don't dig deep. Give to gain. So that means if you don't give, you can gain. I always remember Jesus Christ on the cross. When the women was mourning for him, he said, weep not for me, but go and weep for your children and yourself. Our women today in Grenada is not hungry for education. They're not hungry for education. And some of the challenges that we have is a direct responsibility of our women. Every time we have these days, we have to dig deep. We have to reflect, and we have to see how we could solve problems. Most of the black countries seeing trouble. They're very poor in economic development. Sorry, that's when technology beating you. They're very poor in economic development throughout Africa and the Caribbean. Well, if women in Grenada and in the Caribbean and in the universities is dominating, so you have to come up with answers. Who you expect to give you support? You're in charge. The majority of permanent secretaries are women. The majority of radio personalities are women. The majority of teachers in schools are women. You hardly could get man in the school. So who you asking to give you respect and give you opportunities? You have the opportunities. I have not heard our women cry to change the productivity level in school. The productivity level in school is dismal, is embarrassing, is a joke. Women should sit down and come up with answers to change it. Every time you meet, I get the impression that you want to blame man, as if you're looking for sympathy. Now, what you want to do with poor man, the man on the receiving end. And as a result of that, the man is getting more violent because he's on the receiving end. Now we had Women's Day celebration. And what I listened to, it appears that you're blaming the males. Well, there are some countries could blame the males. The Cuba, Venezuela, in Russia, China, in the communist countries. But you women in the Caribbean, you can't blame no man. We had a number of women prime ministers in the Caribbean, very powerful. Eugenia Charles, Kamala, Portia Simpson. We had a woman in Bermuda. Number of powerful women. In Trinidad, women had the governor, the governor general, I believe, is a woman, and the prime minister. The Trinidad and Barbados. So women in every serious position in our country, women lead. The women in law school discussing in the past time where they will get man. One or two male lawyers, they're not even impressive. So I get the impression that all women looking for sympathy and looking to blame man. No, I don't agree with you. I do hope as the celebration of Women's Day come, our women dig deep and realize that some of the problems we have in society is directly as a result of your behavior, your responsibility. Some of the young boys that in the mental institute, in the madhouse, in the prison, and harassing the police today constantly are your sons. The first 12 years of a child's life, he spent more time with the mother than any other male companion. And the fact that 60% of the household are led by women, and you dominate the education arena, you are responsible. Not man, you are responsible. You have to get more hungry for education. You have to have more clarity. You have to clearly understand your role. Stop looking for sympathy and blaming man. The number to call is 4420175. Remember, we're on 91.9, 91.5. We're on We Noise 94.9. And we take your calls. And we encourage you to share our program, like our program, subscribe, and call on our program. And another issue I want to address is Omar. So now I call in on Dennis Cornwall. Dennis Cornwall, you are the only silver lining. You're the only hope and the only bright spot left in NDC. So I'm calling on you. When you reach in St. Andrews Northeast, go to the office of the NDC, the constituency office of the NDC, Dennis Cornwall, and ask them about Omar. And if they don't know or they don't remember Dennis, tell them the one Francis Pierre come in the office to negotiate with them to help. Dennis Cornwall. Omar was known as Miss NDC since in the days of Marcel Peters. That time you didn't dream about politics yet. She was a warrior in the constituency for NDC. She was a woman in the trench for NDC. NDC has treated her very badly because it appears she said she's not supporting them again. Last election, Omar was in the forefront fighting for NDC. So she can't go to NNP to get help. The neighbors don't want to see her because perhaps some of them is NDC now. And NDC is taking advantage of her. Dennis Cornwall, I pray your intervention. Please. You don't need no more information from me. Go in the NDC office, the St. Andrews Northeast Constituency NDC office. It is before you take the gas station in Tivoli, and ask them what is the situation with Omar. The tears of these people is going to destroy you. And Dennis, I pray your next intervention. Ask Lennox Andrew when he is going to return the water to the 26 farmers in Maribor. I understand he cut off the water because one member turned green. Not 26 farmers, 22 farmers. They have had the water for 26 years. And the NDC is a vindictive group. They take all the water from these people because one member turned green. Rasta turned green. They say turning green, yellow again. And as a result of that, they cut all the water. There is a vindictive group, I know Dennis, because they refuse to give me 9,000. They cut out my fertilizer, and the Public Workers Union threw me out of the medical aid plan. But I could handle that. But Oma, she can't handle it. So I beg you, Dennis Cornwall, you are the only hope, the only bright spot, the only silver lining inside the NDC. You're going to understand Oma position, Dennis Cornwall, because you come from a big family. And yesterday, your family, they poor like church mice. I know Dennis. So you're going to understand poverty. You're going to understand what it is to be poor. Dennis Cornwall, you're going to understand what an elderly person, 70 plus, who have spent all the energy fighting for a political party. And now the political party turn on them with vengeance. She thought when she go to Tillman Thomas, you'd have rescued her. But he turned it back on her, Dennis. So I'm appealing to you, Dennis Cornwall, to help Oma. And next time you see Lennox Andrew, ask him if the 22 farmers in Maribor get back their water. It's a sad day in Grenada. I speak on these issues because I have never witnessed this level of vindictiveness and vengeful operating by any politician in the history of Grenada. I'm mindful that during the 1979, 1983, it was about counter-revolutionary. But this is evil. Deacon Mitchell is a vindictive individual, and those people around him is helping him. There's a lot of others that I could speak about, but I can't call a name on radio. But Oma was one in the forefront, and I have permission to caution him. Sad. I went into a home and take pictures, but it's against me to put this thing on social media. That's why I went and speak to them in the office. But I don't know if there's some higher authority. So Dennis Cornwall, I'm appealing to you. Please, my brother, you're the only hope in NDC. All of them have lost the battle. And anytime you see Lennox Andrew, ask him about the 22 farmers in Maryville. They cut off the water. They had the water for 26 years. Yeah. And KJ, give us a call and speak about the corruption in NDC, in the National Lottery, KJ. Do you believe that the board of directors should be fired? KJ, give us a call. Do you believe that the board of directors in the National Lottery and the Grenada Development Bank should be fired? They contaminated KJ. Call me KJ. Let us start. Remember the number to call is 442-0175. The war in the Middle East is spreading. A number of more countries involved. Iran is firing missile right, left, and center. And Israel and the United States of America is bombing Iran. I know the information they give out, 5 Americans dead and 8 or 9 Israelis and etc. I think that's false information. All these bombs that falling, thousands of people dead in the Middle East. Thousands of people dead in the Middle East. All these American base cannot eat. And you tell me 4 or 5 dead. No. The base didn't empty. Maybe 1,000 dead already. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, go right ahead. We lost the caller? Try again. So you have this war going on. And while that is going on, the Caribbean islands and some Latin America countries seems to be forging a closer relationship with the United States of America. And we in Grenada and the other Windward Islands, who the Americans believe is more hostile to them, have to be prepared not to promote their own personal agenda, but the interests of our people. Yes, scholar. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon.
Yes, scholar.
And how are you?
Great, man.
Tell me, you think what America really go down there? I mean, America have any right to go to go to Iran and declare war on Iran? You think so?
Yes, I fully support America. Why?
Yeah.
Because Iran has pledged publicly for the annihilation of the Jews. And they call the American the great Satan and Israel little Satan. So Israel and America believe that as soon as Iran have nuclear weapon, they're going to fight at them.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, so you telling me that Iran do have a right to exist?
Well, if Iran believe Israel shouldn't exist, and they want a bad weapon to wipe out Israel, why should Israel and America wait till Iran get the weapon? You find that makes sense?
Yes, because Mr. Pierre, right? Listen to me. The Israel you seen is the same Americans, you know.
But yes. So let us suppose yes.
Huh?
Yeah, let me agree. For argument's sake, let's say Israel and America is one. Iran say they've got the best place for the Jews is under the sea. And their main weaponry is to kill Jews.
No, Mr. Pierre, Iran ever say that?
Yes, scholar, repeatedly. They publicly claim of the annihilation of the Jews. They call the American the great Satan.
No.
They teach their children to walk on the American flag and walk on the Israeli flag.
Yes, because because up to now, as we speak here now, Israel, right? As we speak now, Israel thinks that the Palestinians have no right to exist.
We're talking about Iran and Iran Palestine. When you go in Jerusalem and you see little Muslim children selling shrinklets or whatever, and they're robbing. When you hold conversation with them and you ask them if they like the Jews, they put in their hand on their neck and they tell you, kill the Jews. Says the children little, they're teaching them that every morning.
Okay.
So America should not wait to find out if Iran will attack them in truth. They should have attacked Iran 10 or 15 years ago and mash up the leadership in Iran.
What I will tell you, American and even all these Western countries have to prepare for the backlash from Iran.
Yes, but they claim no matter what the backlash is,
because
it will be worse if they have nuclear weapon. So it's better you kill them now.
You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because listen, because the thing about it is the next thing about it is Mr. Pierre. Our leaders here, they're not even preparing even the people to prepare for the
consequences
of this listen to me, because gas price will the price of gas will escalate. The price of food will escalate. And our leader is not preparing the people for these things. No?
It's a fact. Our leaders don't make sense. I tell you, Dickney is a political neophyte. He gory and not taking advice from the elders in his own party. So we're in trouble.
It's not he alone. It's all the people all the leaders of the Caribbean.
But the leaders of the Caribbean, some of them they take sides. Some supporting America and some supporting Iran. So those who supporting America is Trinidad, Guyana, Jamaica, Barbados, mostly hoping St. John's University fail for them to get all the students. So it's doggy dog in the Caribbean.
Okay, Mr. One more thing before I go. Why you think Trinidad, Guyana, Jamaica choose to support America? Why? Just why?
They put the economic interests in front of the ideology. Trinidad have 47,000 Venezuelans. Trinidad businessmen. Trinidad is the most aggressive business people in the Caribbean. So they put the economic interests in front of the ideology. And once you put your economic interests, you're going to understand America is a big papi in the Caribbean. You're going to support Russia then.
So tell me, where does CARICOM stand?
Well, CARICOM interests, some of the CARICOM countries are Marxist, Leninists, they are atheists.
But I crazy this.
And they're not studying the economic business. Take, for instance, Grenada. The St. George's University contribute more than 20% of the GDP. Grenada depends on tourism, remittance from America and England and Europe. And Grenada agriculture 6% heavily dependent on the US. How come Grenadian turn communist?
Well, if it's that, Mr. Pierre, if it's that, then CARICOM is just a waste of time there.
Well, it's not a waste of time. CARICOM is a good thing. But some of our leaders put they sideline the economic interests for the ideology.
Yeah,
Trinidad said no.
CARICOM cannot speak with, anyway, I don't want to be too long. Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, but if CARICOM cannot speak with one voice, then what you use is it?
They still have to try. Yeah, thank you. Well, Europe doesn't speak to one voice too, but Europe understands the geopolitical economic interests. CARICOM have to understand the economic interests. And once you put your economic interests and the will of your people then your ideology becomes secondary. Communism failed. Communism no good. Communism jailing people. They killing people. And you don't have freedom of the press. The judiciary in communist countries are not independent. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Yes, I really don't know what world some of us live in. Iran made it quite clear that their intention is to wipe out every Jew on the face of this earth. Christians, to wipe them out. They describe the United States as the great Satan and Israel as the small Satan. And they over and over, they keep on saying one thing. They want to get a nuclear weapon in order to wipe out the Jews from the face of the earth. Christians, when I listen to some Christians supporting Iran, I have to shake my head. You know the reason why I can't understand how they're so stupid? Is that everything that is happening today is clearly written in the Bible. Even the nation attack Israel and try to destroy Israel. Everything is in the Bible. So everything is playing out, right? Everything is playing out as is written in the scripture. And imagine that during the negotiations with the United States, Iran said that within a couple of weeks, they would have been able to produce nuclear weapons, right? 11 nuclear warheads. They said they had sufficient enriched uranium. Then you have to be dumb to sit down and allow your enemy to get such a destructive weapon. They're telling you, not making joke. They keep on saying the same thing over and over. Look what is our intention. And I am in total support of the United States and Israel. Israel have never threatened any country to wipe out anybody from the face of this earth. And there are many, many of persons who are spreading false information pertaining to Israel. But people don't understand the miracle that is going on. Imagine the Creator Almighty God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, He saved Donald Trump life for this moment. Look at when that bullet was fired at Donald Trump. When you look at it in slow motion and you see how Donald Trump's head moved just at the right moment, there is nothing about luck. It is the Creator that saved him. And man want to learn. They want to learn the hard way that there is one God and He does whatever He wants in the kingdom of men. He put up and He take down. And as He said, He's going to make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all those who come up against it. The Jewish people shall prevail until this battle going to continue. In fact, the last battle is going to take place with Jerusalem there. Because the scripture clearly tells us that our Heavenly Father is going to bring up all the nations of the earth to fight Israel. And then the Messiah will return and He's going to fight the battle against them. And the Jewish people, they will spend 7 months cleaning up the dead bodies in the land of Israel. Have a good day, sir.
Yes, scholar. Remember to like our program, subscribe to our program. Give us a blind. Subscribe to Real FM. The amount of people that subscribe to the program is really low. Yes, scholar, welcome.
First of all, I'm a believer in the Most High, and I'm also a Pan-Africanist. What I think a lot of the time, we divert our conversation and we lost the whole elements of what we should discuss, how we should go, and how we should think. You see, the systematic system, they already program us in. Black people have always been slaves, and we always been taught to think in a particular manner. And that is what the political dictates and the demagogues of this world are doing to us. They're causing us to divide among ourselves. They're causing us to be delusional. And they love when we talk nonsense. They love when we're not analytical. They love when we don't have a strong mind. And hence the reason why, and what I just did, that's my personal position. That's my philosophical position. That's my theological position. That's my ideology. That's just me speaking there. And I'm saying that to say what happens in this world that we're living in. A lot of us maybe never really go into the depths of studying the Bible from a theological point of view and look at history. And if you realize the Greeks, the Medes, and the Persians, Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, all these philosophers, and the Greeks and the Roman Empire, the British Empire, and what they've done to us over the years. If you go back to the days of the Bible and you study the Pentateuch, the Barak seals, and you see a lot of things, it will make you understand what is going on now, because it's been prophesied. And that's the reason why I will not allow politicians or people to have me in bondage. I will debate one, and I will defend one based upon what I see they're doing. I will defend and I will push an agenda which is progressive. And at the same time, there is no perfection in the human domain. And that's why I keep saying, that's why I love the Deacon Mitchell administration, his whole demeanor in terms of the trajectory he takes and his vision in terms of how he approached to govern Grenada. I love the manifesto, what they wrote, what they told the people they will do. They did it. What I saw from the past is that administration that lost ideas, they lost the way. And if you really look at, you look at a lot of stories. For example, you do your Facebook or your YouTube, and you go and you look at the comments in any given situation, you will find out that the people are not, they're not easily fooled as before. They get more intelligent from a political and a social point of view. So these things that are being uttered in the media, these nonsensical things, with giving no direction as to how to make Grenada better from an NNP point of view, it's just waste of time.
All right, thank you,
and that's the reason why people are.
Thank you, Carlo. Okay, you spent over 5, 6, 7 minutes. Yes, the caller does not bother to answer any question that we ask. There are some issues that we ask that is pointing. We have a number of issues today, and we need to address it. We don't need to run from it. One of the biggest challenges that the NDC have, they're disrespecting the public by not providing information. When questions is asked, they are trying to intimidate callers. Look at what they did to Jenny Simon. They tried to intimidate Jenny Simon by having drones flow around her house. She objected. She went to the police. They ignore her. Look at what they tried to do to Real FM. Financial strangulation. It's not easy to survive with a radio station out of St. George's. Yes, caller, welcome.
Day, Mr. Pierre,
yes, go right ahead. Go right ahead, caller.
Yes. Before I make a quick point, I want to say to the last caller about what I heard. I believe this gentleman is missing a lot of information. And my reason for saying that, I want him to know that this government failed in what they had in their manifesto. They failed because most of the promise in the manifesto was impossible lies. So he could not fulfill his manifesto because most of the things are lies. Things what cannot happen.
Caller, give me 2 or 3 things. Caller, give me 2 or 3 things that didn't say that he lied.
First of all, he said everyone in the public service Imani and others. It will make them prominent.
Yes, that is one. There is no need for
that was
one
an impossible life.
Yeah. No need for a parallel
public. My own say that he will build 500 houses
per parish. That too.
A parish.
The next one, 3.
Well, that was 2. That's 2.
Give me the 3. Give me 3.
Then he said his government will be a government of accountability.
Yes, so that is 3. Go ahead to your point now.
And right now, this government is not a government of accountability and transparency. This is why, as how we need a next representative in St. Patrick, we need a next government just the same. This is a blame game government. This is a government that have no respect for the electorate of this country. I believe this caller is missing touch. I don't want to come down on caller. I never want
forget him and let's go ahead.
Although I take him challenge, because I have facts. So, Mr. Pierre, I want the caller to know that. I'm not saying he shouldn't call.
Leave him alone and go ahead with your point.
Yes, so I am saying we want a government what not silent. We want a government what speaking to the people. We want a government what not telling lies to the people. We heard about where they sign memorandum of understanding in other countries. We don't even hear anything of our own country. They went and hide and do nothing. So this government is totally government for this country. I rest my case, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar. The challenge I understand. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good day, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, great man.
Jonathan Lockett, I believe he's a hero, in my belief. That man brought information to the Prime Minister that there is corruption in Lotto. And he fired the individual. The Prime Minister is telling me that he rehired him and the Prime Minister fired him instead. Now, lo and behold, the Prime Minister had to fire the same guy. Or I can to resign. The point I'm making is that somebody brought information to you that this person is corrupt, bringing on the lottery authority to the lowest grade, making the people lose trust in that organization. You refuse to get rid of them. You kept them there so you can thief more. What kind of person will do that? No, you don't understand, What kind of person going to let somebody steal the country's money? You don't just wrap your mind around that. What kind of person going to sit down there and knowing somebody's doing wrong and let them do wrong? And cool with that. You see, people don't understand, What kind of person going to let that happen? Can be Mr. Pierre, I know if I go to your store and I'm working with you and I say, this worker is thieving, you're going to fire this person. Once you approve, you fire them. So what kind of person going to leave somebody steal? Continue to steal until it's overwhelming now. And they say, you know what, you have to resign, Does that make any sense? After you fire Jonathan Lockett for the individual. Jonathan Lockett is a hero. He stood up for Grenada. He brought information. Now his life is in the. I don't know if he's working now. His life has changed completely, but he stood up for Grenada. Have a nice day, sir.
Yes, the Prime Minister did not fire Williams. I don't think the Prime Minister even asked him to, couldn't force him to resign. Pressure. Pressure. Jenny Simon gave information that you couldn't challenge, empirical evidence. And the other people in the country didn't let it up. Real FM, Sheldon Scott, I on my program. Pressure that bust the pot. This same gentleman had issue during the previous NDC period. So he's not an unknown individual. The Prime Minister couldn't file. The Prime Minister could have filed a threat, but he couldn't file. Some of his friends and pressure, they must beg him to resign. They beg him to resign. You ask what kind of person? Well, I could tell you what kind of person. Yes, scholar.
Yes, Mr. Pierre. Just a question. I want to find out. We talk a lot about Christianity in our country. I don't understand the word Christianity because we claiming to be a Christian society, yet we supporting corruption, we supporting wrongdoings that are going on in the country. So I don't know if Mr. Pierre, with your intellect, you can be able to, give me an idea what is really Christianity. Thank you, sir.
Well, a Christian is basically a follower of Christ. I don't know if it's in Corinth or the first thing they call them Christians. Because they see these people and these people are looking so holy. They're sharing all what they have, they're kind, they're respectful, and they're preaching about love. So they're Christ-like. So they call them Christians. But that doesn't mean that because you're a Christian, you're perfect. Remember, all fall short of the glory of God. And remember when the guy went to Jesus Christ and asked him what he must do to be saved. The guy said, doing all that already. He says, sell what you have and give the poor and come and follow me. So being a Christian don't mean you won't thief sometimes. You thief. Sometimes you're there in the church, you're praying. You believe you're there in heaven. By the time you come to the church and you watch good at the woman that was sitting next to you in the church, she don't look as an angel anymore. She looking damn nice. So all of us could be tempted. That's why we have to encourage one another. And that's what the church does. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Your definition of Christianity is incorrect.
But that is my definition. I never interfere with your philosophy. Tell me what is your definition.
Again.
Tell me what is the definition.
If you look through the...
Tell me what is your definition.
It's one who's been born again, which means they accept the Most High as the Lord and Savior. They turn away from the wicked ways. They live in a particular way, not by the way, but it has to be constant.
Because you're sounding like if he's a Muslim.
They are bad.
Color, you sound like a Muslim.
Well, you see,
Christianity, we are not perfect people.
No, you see, because what you're doing, you watering down Christianity from what the Roman Empire, how they profane Christianity. So I'm telling you, based upon studies, based upon theological studies, you are watering.
But you rather do no theological study. I'm an ordinary stick. That is my concept, my hope, belief in it. I tell you, that is my opinion.
So that's why
I'm not a theologian.
That's why the people who study it are the people who understand. That's why everybody have a particular forte, or everybody have a particular trade, or everybody knows certain things. That's why you've been a teacher, you've been a businessman, now you're on the radio. It doesn't mean because you're in the armchair, it doesn't mean that you know everything.
Eric Williams say, what businessman? Eric Williams say, what businessman? They sit down on desk calling and biting. He say, I commission agent. You know, Eric Williams tell him, man, what businessman you is? You're commission agent. You sit down on a desk, ordering thing and making profit to say you're a businessman.
Again, that's another outlook of how you look at it.
Yeah.
And again, somebody in your position, right? I know you know a lot of things about politics, but what you do, you're spinning it to your whims and fancies. Because you and I know that Deacon Mitchell doing a very good job.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. I give you an opportunity to debate. I had a date when I speak about Deacon, you refused to call. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, good day, Mr. P.
Yeah, great, man.
Mr. P, I remember the NDC promised that to the senior citizen.
It's nice for you to wait, caller, stop. Give me about 4 or 5 things that NDC promised and they fail on it. Punch.
Yeah. One of the things that they promised the people who are participating in the election campaign, that they said to the senior citizen that the World Bank report state that people getting the seed money get 350. That money not sufficient. they asked people to vote for them, they will raise it to $650.
That is one.
And
Two.
when NDC came, the second one, everybody will be permanent. Everybody will be permanent. They will stamp out corruption, right? Because they will accuse NMP for corruption.
So
They
that is
stamp it out.
two. Give us another
Then
one.
they said again, the wastage of money, they get rid of that. And they will be transparent, and they will be open out to the people of their competing matter. Because you made Prime Minister say that the NMP is afraid to come have press briefing with the media. And look at what's going on now, Mr. Pierre. Where are the Prime Minister who's a boss and say, well, NMP afraid to come to and speak to the media? What they said, a press conference on I need to know. You have it and I need to know. Look at what happened with the summer deal. The Prime Minister never opened a call and tell the people going to carry competing matter what happening. Look at again with the deportees. Again, keep it secretly. Look again with the base secretly. Only recently, on a journalist from I think Antigua, when they admit that they signed the MOU, right? And if that were to call a government that with vision, well, I see that people call and begin up the government, like the amount of corruption is taking place within this administration. That's not to be a vision for the NDC with a amount of
Yes, Scholar. Thank you, Scholar. Thank you. And one of the powerful things, the Prime Minister of Grenada promised to bring legislation, freedom of legislation, freedom of information legislation. And I'm disappointed that some of those journalists that he big up did not hold him to do that, didn't challenge him. We go take the last caller for the day. Caller, yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
According to the definition for Christian, you is correct. When you read John chapter 3 address the whole issue of what it means to be born again. Now I'm going to try to make that as short as possible. Read from verse 7. He said, do not marvel that I said to you, you must be born again. The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it, but cannot tell where it comes from and where it goes. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. The only human being that ever born a second time since God created this earth was the Messiah, right? That's the reason why. Here I tell you, when you're born again, you're like the wind. When you look at the fact that after the resurrection of the Messiah, he was able to enter into a closed room without going through any door. So the only time the rest of humanity will be born again is when the Messiah returns and he raises you from the dead. You get a new body, a spiritual glorified body. And that is the second birth. We are in the first birth. On resurrection day, those who are resurrected to eternal life, they born a second time. Have a good day.
Yes, my brother, thank you very much. And just to add the last thing that KJ should have read, Jesus considered the theologians, the Pharisees and the Sadducees as a brood of vipers. You know, he said there's a brood of vipers. They know the law. They speak about it, but they wasn't practicing it. So he said, do what they tell you, but don't follow them. Don't do what they do. We wanted to practicalize this story. As we tell people, we have to be very practical about what we say and what we do. So I'm very glad that you called back to help to rearrange the knowledge that KJ have about Christianity. What is a Christian? We all in Grenada consider ourselves a Christian society, but it doesn't mean that we won't fall short. It don't mean we don't get angry. None of us is perfect. None of us could say we save. We could say we save. We have been saved. We working to be saved. We hoping to be saved. And that's why I give the example, like when you come into church, While you're in the church, you pray and you believe you is an angel. By the time you come out of the church, you start to fall prey to the temptations of life. That is why we have to encourage one another, give one another support, help one another. So yes, as we sum up women in Grenada, I think it's very important that our women take Women's Day most serious and understand the power of the woman. Woman always powerful. They were the ones around Christ and perhaps stood up with Christ the most. Even when the men run, women were around him, following him. Veronica takes a towel and wiped his face and blood. And his mother held him in his arm. And when he was mourning for him, he said, weep for your children and yourself. So women of Grenada, you're not women in Muslim country. You're not women in communist country. You're not women in utter poverty. You women of Grenada, the men have been supporting you. Don't give the impression when you stand up, man not supporting you. And then you have some pussified men with you, joining with you and cussing man. Don't do that. The time has come for women to seriously consider that 70% of our children cannot meet the minimum educational requirements to have the competitive edge in the marketplace. That should be of concern to you women. Women must also take into consideration the reason why so much of our children in prison, the mental hospital, why some of them unemployed. So much of them are unemployed because they don't have the talents. You must take that into consideration. When you have your meetings, you must discuss that, because a lot of men are blaming you, the woman, for spoiling the children, particularly the boys. You're not Muslim women. Don't go in these things and sit down and blaming men. Even though you have a few pussified men around you, stop that. You're not victims anymore in Grenada. You're in a leadership position throughout the ministry. Many of you are ministers in church. You lead the way. 60% of the household are led by women. Stop behaving as if you all are victims. You all are not victims. A number of men would say to you, if they didn't want confusion, they don't want conflict, so they don't say nothing. But if you listen when the men speak, they are blaming you. Look at the economic realities in Grenada today. Women of Grenada, there is an upsurge in the go-go club, in prostitution, and the whole house in Grenada. A massive upsurge. From the time Deacon come in this government, I see this level of decadence increase in our country. They always a go-go club. It used to be maybe in St. George's in a private place, hush hush. No longer. You have some pimp bringing the prostitution club, the go-go club and striptease in low-income areas. It is out of hand. You women that meet and match in, ask the men around you if that is what I'm saying is not true. Teachers involved, senior public officers, they go in the go-go club and your daughters on the stage stripping and become women of pleasure. You always had women of pleasure. Remember what Christ told the woman by the well? You had 5 husbands and the one you have is not yours. So that always with us. You remember the woman that was dancing for King Herod? You ask her what she wants. She says she wants the head of John. And he give her John head. When you hear a man is pleased, he give you anything. Richard Button give Elizabeth Taylor a diamond for over 300,000. And he married her 3 times. So the man will dip his hand in his pocket till the pocket busts. Sometimes to provide for the women of his choice. So you women of Grenada, open your mouth. And I've called, and perhaps you all should take some interest in Omar case. Deacon is an evil person. I am convinced he's evil. And he's going to cause serious decadence to our society and the psychic of our people. So women of Grenada, as you celebrate on your day, I wish you all the best. But don't stop giving the impression that you are victims and Grenada man against you. No. The men in Grenada have always supported the women. Or not always, but we have supported our women much more. We have led in the Caribbean where the support of women is concerned. The first woman governor. And today we have a number of women in politics. And we have a woman now that's leading one of the main political parties. And there is a fair chance that she could be the Prime Minister of Grenada. And we have a Governor General, Dame Cecil Lagonade. Stop blaming man. Ben Jones said the only thing in Grenada is the man that's in trouble, not the woman. So women of Grenada, stop blaming man. And those pussified men around you, don't follow them. Stop blaming man. You that responsible. We always encourage you to share our program, like our program, subscribe to Real FM, help us to grow. And you don't have to agree with us. We welcome all colors. You don't have to agree with us. We could work together. You have 5 fingers in your hand. All of them different. But you need it to hold a bottle of rum, to pour. Thank you very much.
When the clock hits 12, you know where to be. Turn it up, Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis